And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by the one and only Mr. Huw Ware. How we doing, my friend?
I'm good, thank you, guys. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Pleasure to have you along.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. This is my favorite time. So, yeah.
This is joined us before on a Monday, Hugh, have you? This is the first time you've been on. Hopefully, first of a few.
Yeah, the first of many. Exactly. Yeah.
Huw, have you got us opening another tab? Because there's a slight echo coming back. Have you got us on?
It's not very good with technology. I don't think so. This is literally the only tab I've got open. So, but I can hear it too. Isn't that a bit strange? Okay, what's going on? I don't know.
Just think there's a tab open somewhere.
Okay, I tell you what, I'm just going to close everything, apart from this tab, obviously. Right, all my tabs are closed.
I can't hear an echo. I think people are hearing it.
Oh, Hugh's just closed himself on us. That's all right. We'll get back in it.
Closed.
That's right. As soon as he comes back in, we will get him back in. It's all good. We love a bit of technology.
Yeah, I'm gonna wager that he's not the technological whiz behind the Tops and Tails podcast, is he? He's not plugging in microphones and setting things up, is he?
All right, here he comes, coming back in now, so we can go like that.
So that went well. Was that what this worked?
No, but it's all right. We can soldier on, mate. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, guys. I've got nothing else working at all. I don't know what's going on.
I haven't got it. I can't hear it. I don't know what people are on about. Sounds great to me. You're not rigging up the Tops and Tails podcast, then, Huw. You're not in charge of microphones and sound mixing and everything else on that. Is it just the smiling face at the front there?
Well, let's see. Someone here saying it's his turn. I mean, so how do I get rid of that there?
Oh, I don't know.
Anybody in the chat knows?
Yeah,
That's just
what it is that I'm supposed to be doing.
Going into there for an expert.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's seen especially my earlier series of Toss and Tails, like apart from this series, so when I used to set up the cameras and things, that was all me. I was in charge of setting up the cameras, the angles, etc. We were doing it in dark hotel rooms, which some of them weren't necessarily the most spacious in the world. So this series now, we've got a production company called Thanks to Window. They're called AOTB. They did a great job. And it's just so much more watchable now, I think. Now that we have professional cameras with a professional setup and proper angles, it just makes the videos that much more watchable to see and to listen to. So yeah, it's I'm not Steven Spielberg. And he's got the imagination.
look, we'll start on the Tops and Tails as you brought it up. How much are you enjoying it, and have you been blown away of the success that you've had in such a short space of time with it?
With the podcast, yeah, I think I'm so happy that everybody seems to be enjoying it and as much as what they are. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort. And I think probably the best thing that we did was put a series out during last year's World Championships, because that's when darts is part of casual sports fans' algorithms that much more than at any other time of the year. It's almost as if, all the way through my first year, anyone who sort of stumbled across one of the episodes were realizing that I had a podcast. And that was even right up to the World Championships. I mean, there were episodes that went out during season 2, which went out around this time last year, where even those views were just going whoosh like that. And I think it's because people were only just sort of realizing that I had a podcast, So yeah, I'm really pleased with the way that it's grown to the point now where we can have our own production company and we have, a bit of money behind it to be able to provide that and so on. And I've even had guests come on now from outside of the world of darts. We've started branching out slowly, and there are some other guests who have said yes to coming on, both inside the world of darts and outside the world of darts. If they can come off, guys, That would just be incredible. And yeah, I am very lucky because, I mean, so many podcasts. We've only done about 30 episodes, I think, overall. And like, how many podcasts like sort of try for years to get to this position now, which this podcast is at. So I'm very, very lucky, and I don't even do it consistently, guys. We all know that the guide to a really successful podcast is consistency, and unfortunately, I just cannot do this podcast every week. If I could, then I would. But if we take, for example, February through till May, there's Premier Leagues, there's Pro Tours, there's European Tours. I mean, I'm barely available, let alone any of the players or anyone like this. It's very, very tough. We get episodes out as soon as we can. And I think to all intents and purposes, if there is another series to follow on from this one this year, we'll probably record between, say, September, October through November odd time, and it'll be ready for the World Championships. So, yeah, but no, I'm very happy. I'm very fortunate. I'm just pleased that everybody's enjoying it as what they are. I've been overwhelmed the last couple of years with all the lovely messages that I've had and support. So,
Yeah, no, 100%. I listen to it. I love listening to it. It's great. Have you got an ideal guest? If you could handpick one guest to have on, who would you have?
Oh, but I'm gonna add to that, because the way to make it more interesting is you have to have two answers. One is somebody from the world of darts, and one is somebody from outside the world of darts, because that's a very different show, isn't it? And a different way of thinking about it.
And do you know, guys, I've been very fortunate to have had a lot of people that I would love to have on already. I mean, so today's episode was Dennis Priestley, my favorite player of all time. So, I mean, so in that respect, how does it get better than that? I mean, I swear, Michael Van Gerwen would be a huge name that we haven't had yet. I would love for him to come on. I mean, that there's, I wouldn't say no to the vast, vast majority of people, in the world of darts or outside. I mean, outside the world of darts, Sir Alex Ferguson, is that too ambitious to ask? Alex, if you're watching, come on. I would love to have you on, because I think everybody knows that Freddie Mercury is my hero. But if I was to pick someone who was living in my lifetime, it would be Sir Alex Ferguson. Because I grew up as a big Manchester United fan. I grew up. I started sports in 2001, so I saw the last 10, 11, 12 years of his time. Just amazing. Responsible for some of the most consistently happiest memories of my childhood, for sure. So if that's not too ambitious, I suppose, for Alex Ferguson, really.
Absolutely not.
I love that. That'd be great. Could you imagine Sir Alex on Tops and Tails?
The thing is, he's growing big enough he could pull that off. That's what worries me. Is that that's achievable. You'll get 50% of them by the end of the year.
There'd just be this hairdryer halfway through the episode, like whoosh,
Would it be tempting, Huw? You'd have to get him to call a 180, wouldn't you? Just to see how Sir Alex would deliver that.
Well, and I'll try the hairdryer the other way round. Yeah, God, dear me. Yeah, he was remarkable, wasn't he? And he is, some of the stories that I've heard about him, about his management and things. I mean, obviously Pep Guardiola was fantastic and dominant in Manchester City. We can't take that away from him in that respect. But I don't think there will ever be another manager to do it in the way that Sir Alex did. He was remarkable.
No, I agreed. Look, darts has become so cool and so trendy, and you referees are part of this now as well, where all of you are now recognisable names. Everyone knows who the referees are. How difficult is the job becoming? Not in terms of the players playing up, but just the changing dynamics of being a darts referee, because it's more now than just getting up on the stage and calling numbers, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and I mean, yeah, it's becoming sort of more. Well, that's why so over the last few years, the role of the second referee has increased. So we're looking out for any infringements on the hockey that the first referee may not be able to see, any scoring errors, anything sort of external, really. And yeah, while calling the scores is the bread and butter, it is issues between the players, issues in the crowd. I've been on stage when the lights have gone out before now, and thankfully they came back on very quickly, so that was fine. But that's happened before. I've had to wipe water off of the European Tour drinks table with some kitchen rolls in front of about 5,000 people, because the bass from the second phase warp on has vibrated through the table so much it's just poured the water everywhere out of the plugs and onto the table, you know? I mean, it's remarkable. So, yeah, it has become more than that. And yeah, it's a challenge, but like I love it. It's the best job in the world. I wouldn't swap it for anything.
When you say it's the best job in the world, Hugh, what, and I would like sort of going back, because it's like we've not been on you've not been on before, so it's interesting. We have to dig into the origin story. But like, at what point did it become for you a realistic option where you thought, this thing that I do, well, this thing I do sort of as either as a hobby or as a side, this is what I do as part of my involvement in darts. There is not just a job, because it's not just something I can earn money from, but a career, something that I can do and it can become what I am professionally. Like, when did you realize that? At what point in your career?
Well, it's interesting, really, because I was 17 years old when I went on television for the first time. So I've told the story many times. I went sort of from there at a county level. I'd been doing it for 2 or 3 years, to right up there with like very little messing about stuff. Because back in those days, that really was the only route that there was. There wasn't such. There were far more opportunities now as a referee than what there were back when I started. And even with that said, it was another 10 years before I started making refereeing my professional living. So I was in the BDO for 5 years, and that was essentially voluntary, because, we didn't have the money, I suppose, to give us like a professional wage or something. We had some sponsorship money for Lakeside. We always had our expenses covered wherever it was that we went, but that was it, And then in 2016, I graduated from university, was looking around for work. I started working for Radio Wales Sport, and I also joined the PDC as the 5th member of a team of 4 at that time. And that COVID came along a few years later, and it was at the back end of COVID, around about September 2021, when I took the step up from being like the 5th member of the team of 4 to the 4th member. And then year after year, my work has then increased from. So even though I've had a 15-year career now, it's only been the last 5 where I could call it my professional living. I mean, like I say, I was only 17. I had no real I loved refereeing and I knew that I could do it and so on. But I didn't necessarily have my eyes set on it at that time in my life, at that early stage. And I think it's interesting now. So I very quickly think it's interesting now, with the little effect and the explosion of youth darts especially. We are now starting to get to the stage where young kids are coming through, where they are looking actively to become professional darts referees, and that's going to be very interesting going forward. So there we are.
No, it is. That's fascinating. It's something that's the first time I've ever heard anybody say it, but it makes complete sense that if all of a sudden you've got loads of children in darts academies and loads of people, there is of course going to be people who develop a particular talent and are good at it and enjoy it. And yeah, I suppose that the youth, that next movement of darts referees is going to be coming through in the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years, isn't it?
And right across the world as well. I think in Australia, in New Zealand, in Asia, in America, in Europe, and so on, we were seeing that in Europe already. And I think what the end result of that will be that there will be a plethora of world-class referees who are going to get on that stage in their 20s or maybe even earlier, and their maths is going to be spot on. They're just going to know what they're doing like that. And so the standard of refereeing will just go up and up and up.
Yeah, no, I like that. Mace said when you and Charlie went out for some food at the Euro Tour, didn't get a look in, Mace said.
Oh God, which Euro Tour was that? We always go out for food at some tour. We always go out for some nice food wherever we can. Take advantage of the places that we go to, because it's not easy sometimes to take a look around.
I can imagine as well, but it's not just the darts work that you do within darts and that thing, but we've got obviously the Rainbow Laces campaign with the LGBT community stuff that I know you're super proud of, and darts getting involved. Was that not a concern, I want to say, when you first came into the darts world? Was there ever any worry? Because darts wasn't the best sport, shall we say, in terms of where it came from and educating players and people. Was that ever a concern when you were getting into it at a young age?
Um, yes. Oh, when at an early age before I came out, yeah. I mean, it had just so I've been involved in television darts for about 3 years. When I came out, I was 20, and I just won the second half of the world final that Stephen Bunting won.
Yeah.
And I just remember for the last couple of years before I came out. So I went to university, and it had gone to the stage where I didn't even have to come out in university, and I was going out, I was just starting going out on the scene. I was learning more about myself, coming to terms with myself and becoming more experienced in that way and all the rest of it. So that had been going on for a couple of years. So the more I was doing that, the more frustrated I suppose that I was getting when it came to a darts weekend and I had to go sort of back into the closet, as it were. And I was sort of watching myself, checking myself all the time and all this sort of thing. And I just sort of realized one day that I was ready to do it. I mean, I was petrified, don't get me wrong, but the amount of support that I had from the darting world at that time was incredible. I couldn't have asked for a better response if I tried. Then a couple of years later, things started getting a bit difficult. In the end, we combined with the Rainbow Laces campaign, and for quite a few years after that, the darts world became a lot better and a better place to be for me and for other people like myself. Yeah, it was. I've lost my train of thought now. What was I going to say then? Yeah, no, it was no, it was really good for that period of time. But that's how I remember now. But that's because of everybody else. I don't think it's because of anything that I've sort of said or preached backstage to people or things like this. The way we make the world a more inclusive place is to take responsibility for ourselves and to make sure that we are all, as individuals, as inclusive and as welcoming and as can be. That's not because of me. That's because of the kind-hearted natures of everybody else. They're the ones that deserve credit for making darts inclusive and so on. It's all of our individual responsibilities, which means as a collective, it makes the place a better place to be.
How so looking forward a bit, like because I noticed and that you'd been named as an ambassador, but how excited are you for the Euro Games to be in Cardiff, in the UK? For the first time in the UK, darts is being featured. So like how the fact that it's in your home country and darts is being featured, how excited are you for that next year?
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I remember I had a call about just over a year ago now to sort of talk about this. And yeah, amazing. I mean, darts has been part of one of the games before, but I think it wasn't particularly sort of well backed. There were only about 10 or 12 entrants. It might have been a bit of a last minute thing. I'm not sure. This is like the first real sort of concerted effort that darts has had to be a part of the Euro Games. There's just under a year still to go, and there's already been 1,000 entries into the games in general. I think we're expecting about 3,000 or 4,000 people across 40 or 50 different sports to be a part of. I mean, I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to make this the biggest sporting event to come to Cardiff since the Commonwealth Games of '58. It's never been to the UK before, as you say, so if it's come to Cardiff, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be huge, and to be asked as an ambassador. I mean, that question got asked to me quite a few months after our initial conversation, and I couldn't be more honoured. I just couldn't be more honoured. It's a wonderful thing to have.
It's very. I think it looks very cool. I was really pleased to see darts being featured, and it'll be interesting to see how that how that is covered and who's involved and what the standard is. And let's hope it's of a good standard. There are certainly I think talented players that will be involved. So I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, oh, big time. Yeah, and I think the most important thing is, I'm sure the standard will be great, but is to have fun and to show that sport is for everyone and that darts is for everyone. I think so. It's going to be held at Rodney Parade in Newport. Family Darts, Neil Patterson, we're working very closely with him to arrange the venue and the facilities and so on. They also just helped me with my Macmillan Cancer Darts Marathon just on the weekend. He's a wonderful man. And yeah, it's going to be a big success. Not just darts, for the Euro Games in general as well. I think it's going to be a huge event. And we're all working very hard. The next 12 months are going to go like that. It feels like you've still got all the time in the world, but we're going to blink and it's going to be July 2027. And I think there's going to be an opening ceremony, a closing ceremony, medals, other extra stuff going on the social side of things that the Pride Company board are arranging. So it's going to be amazing.
Well, you kind of mentioned it's on my list to speak to anyway, but the Macmillan Cancer fundraising day at the weekend looked incredible. And you're you can still play. I know that you had a bit of a youth career that you don't like to talk about, but there's still a little bit of magic in that that throwing arm of yours, Huw, with 180s going in and so on. But obviously that's the fun part of it, but also raising money for a wonderful cause at the same time must be a great pleasure as well.
Yeah, so do you know, I hit 6 180s in total over those 12 hours. Last year I only hit 3, so I've doubled my tally. But there's something else that I did, which I've not seen the clip. No one's clipped it up. I can't find it anywhere. I wouldn't even know where to look now. But like 10 hours in, we were doing a checkout games, and we needed 120, and I threw the first down. I blocked the single 20, so I just went. Excuse my language. I went, oh, 2 bulls, sod it. I went bullseye. I tell you what, that's the best thing I did in those 12 hours. It wasn't the 180s. It was doing that. That was unbelievable. I couldn't believe I did that. And the first I went right at the top of the bullseye. There was loads of room. It couldn't have thrown it any better. So how I did that, I was on fire. So for the 2027, a better watch out, is all I'm saying. And now I'm going to be the first referee to win the World Darts Championship. Wouldn't that be fabulous?
I don't think that would be incredible.
Yeah, and so I'm an ambassador for the Macmillan Cancer Darts Marathons, and last year those marathons raised a combined total of roughly around £1.5 million for Macmillan Cancer. That's just purely through their darts marathons. It's absolutely extraordinary. They're so popular, and honestly, when you complete one, it's the best feeling because on Saturday it wasn't so much my right arm or anything; it was my legs. My right foot is actually aching a lot, and I wonder if I was putting too much weight forward. As any darts coach would tell you, would be comfortable. Maybe I was putting too much weight forward. But it's the most wonderful feeling when you finish it. And I don't know what final total we managed to raise yet for my challenge, but it was over £1,300. I know that. So thank you very much to everybody who watched, who donated to pass. I couldn't be more grateful. But yeah, it's a wonderful cause. I'm very honoured to be their darts marathon ambassador. We actually did a photo shoot on the day as well, which I think is going to be used for the 2027 marathons that they're going to be doing. So yeah, it's a wonderful cause, and all to help over 3.5 million people who are living with cancer in the UK. And of course, it's not just those that are fighting cancer. It's all the affected friends and family that they have. I lost my grandfather to cancer, the best man that I will ever know in my life, and I lost him when I was 19 years of age. It affects all of us, doesn't it, in one way, shape or form. So these dart marathons are absolutely fantastic for raising money for Macmillan, who are a wonderful organisation.
So you said that your right foot was in pain. Was there no pop wild afterward then?
Well, I was thinking it during those 12 hours. I was like, I'm going to go out tonight. Shall I go out tonight? Yeah, I'll go out tonight. Then I came back home, and did I go out? No, I didn't. I was absolutely knackered. By the time I got back, it was like 11 p.m. and I was starving hungry as well. I was like, no, I can't do it. I'm getting old. 10 years ago, that would not have been the case. And now I'm like, oh no, stay indoors in the warm.
I am saying that's a killer lot. I said that virtually every night of the match play in Blackpool. Virtually every day I turned to Phil and said, 10 years ago, I'd have been saying that. And then after 6 days, I still hadn't gone for a single pint. And I'm just, I just go to bed now.
I was exactly the same. I really was. I went out on a Friday night and that was lovely. But apart from that, didn't go out, didn't have a drink, like nothing. I just can't be asked anymore. Isn't that dreadful?
We just found you to be. We get lots of people. We're dead lucky. We talk to loads of interesting people from the world of darts. I don't think we've spoke to anybody who sounds as busy as you. We know what the darts schedule is. We know what the PDC calendar looks like, and the way that you have to get from there to there to there. But then the things that you seem to pack around it, whether it's a podcast or an ambassadorial role or running this or raising money, you do seem to be about the busiest person in darts. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, there's because I do a lot of sort of extra stuff away from the refereeing, I suppose. I mean, there's not really a day where I have a day off. I mean, at worst, I could do a blog for my website, for example, which I haven't touched nearly all year. It's been dreadful the way I've just neglected my website this year. But I'd just been so busy with everything else. I mean, I'm very busy at the moment with a lot of LGBT stuff at the moment to do with lots of different things. And because we're getting up now to the Rainbow Laces campaign, which traditionally takes place at the Grand Slam of Darts in November. So we're doing a lot of work now to get ready for that. I really need to get onto that. All the social media posts for the podcast and things, all the shorts, all the reels, that's all me, and so on. Writing all the descriptions of things is all me. So having done the Macmillan Counter Challenge now, that's a little bit of a weight off the shoulders. That can sort of go on the back burner a little bit now. But there's lots of other things as well going on. I mean, I've got a really big second half of the year coming up, guys. Things which I wish I could talk to you about, but I can't. Maybe I could come back again in a few weeks' time and talk about them, which would be amazing. I just can't talk about them right now. But I'm very, very excited, hugely excited by what's coming up in the second half of this year.
Well, there's ways Vikings to cover.
Making some announcements, you let us know, and you'll get back on about them then.
I won't name the city, but the only time I've seen Huw hungover at work was hilarious, because bear in mind there was only an evening session this tournament. I was like, "You all right, Huw?" He was like, "Oh, I overdid it last night." It was like, the only time I've ever seen you absolutely hanging was that day, and it was just so funny. Can you remember the city?
No, because there's been a few. Is this literally the only time you've seen me? Like I said, I've seen you with that then. You're playing on the way with that. I must say, I've got you went in Budapest, were you, last year?
No.
I tell you what, I was shocked. That last year I was shocking.
Yeah, Budapest it's a very good city if you fancy a beer. If you fancy a drink, Budapest is about as good as you could ask.
Oh yeah, I love Budapest. We're literally going there again in a couple of weeks. It'll be fabulous. And no, I'm not sure, Phil. Go on.
Dortmund.
Dortmund. Dortmund, did I?
Yeah.
Is this last year's?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I tell you, now he's retired, we can say this. I've got no idea how George did it, because I've seen George absolutely paralytic to the point where he's asleep on his feet with 2 drinks in his hand, and the next morning he'd do the first game at 12 o'clock and you wouldn't even know. I've got no idea how George was the master at it.
Well, he was so good, wasn't he? I mean, I've said it before. He was quite a big inspiration to me, really, growing up, in terms of, especially when I got onto television. I was like, right, how do I referee a game of darts? That's how you referee a game of darts. The voice, the control, the authority, just everything about him as a referee. I really so try and take a leaf out of his book as much as possible. He was just the most wonderful referee, and he, even when he retired, his last game, the World Final back in January, you're still watching it go, you are just as good now as what you were 15, 20 years ago or something. He could used to be doing it today and he would still just be right to the top of his game. He'd keep going forever and ever, and yeah, it was fantastic.
Mace has just said he's in Budapest this year as well.
Oh, I'll send you some bars. I'll send you a list of bars.
Good
on Budapest.
Yeah, brilliant. Great stuff. Great.
I love it. I love it. Look, just in terms of the whole Littler effect, what was for you especially? What was it like during that World Final? Because obviously we see other greats in sport, and we see others get to referee generational great. What's it like for you being able to referee what could be one of the best we've ever seen?
Well, I think that's the ultimate pleasure of being a darts referee, is that you get to be up close to the best players that have ever played the game, and to sort of just be a part of their journey, and to be the voice of their journey in some ways. So winning his first world title, I mean, I can't as well. I do bullseye maths sessions sometimes. I've been into primary schools with the bullseye maths sessions that they put on, which are wonderful, that Gary Horsley puts on. And I can't believe, guys, the 360-degree turn there has been in schools up and down the country and up across the world, where darts is now fashionable. I mean, when I was a kid growing up loving darts, it wasn't that anybody else sort of like looked down on it or anything like that, but it was just that nobody else sort of understood why I loved darts so much. They just didn't get it. Whereas now, I think the kids do get it, to the stage where everybody does love it, and it is actively encouraged to like darts and love darts and to watch darts and so on. I cannot believe how that change has happened. I never thought that would. All down to Luke Littler. I mean, dare I say, guys? I mean, so when I signed my contract with Winmore for the global ambassadorship to do my own podcast and my own website and so on, if Luke Littler hadn't come along, would I have gotten that deal as well? Because all of a sudden there was a brand new young audience there to exploit. Not exploit. I hate using that word. It sounds like an awful snooze. There's an audience there, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily there before, and they are there in their droves. So, even on a personal level, is riding off that Littler crest of a wave. Do you know what I mean? It's just been remarkable and astonishing. And even after that World Final that I repped, the first one that he won, that changed my life. And what was interesting was because, so I was in the Trestle office being the first gay referee to referee World Final and all that. But the way I was being described in headlines was Luke Littler Dart Ref. Wasn't my name, it was Luke Littler, which is fine because it's indicative of how big of a name Luke Littler is now. People see Luke Littler in the headlines, they're drawn to it, even if the article isn't necessarily about him. His impact is extraordinary. He is well, we all saw him at the match play. I think it's fair to say, he was just on another level, wasn't he? And to be up close to those darts and to be able to referee these achievements of his is just the ultimate pleasure of doing the job. It's why we do it.
It's iconic as well, isn't it? Because of course, what those moments generate is clips forever. There are, and you look back over the history of darts, there are, I don't know, maybe somewhere between 10 and 20, clips that we see all the time. And it must give you a warm feeling when you see one of those come around and it's you. Because, whilst it's somebody else throwing the dart, but it is completely unforgettable, your part in that, is it? Because it's your voice, and you are very much a part of the history of the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, so when a 9-dart finish goes in, for instance, I mean, you have to really be concentrating in that moment, because it's kind of your whole part of your job in this moment to sell what's just happened. So if we take Josh Roth's 9-dart from Belfast, for example, which he does on his homecoming, so he goes running off to the side of the stage, and in the end, he was obviously so hyped up and so bouncing, and all the crowd were up. It actually took quite a while for the next leg to start. So I was really concentrating in that moment just to make sure both players were okay, the crowd were coming down. Let's just have a moment to settle down before we start again, and all the rest of it. And that's all sort of, I'm concentrating on that in that moment. I'm not thinking to myself, oh my God, there's been a 9-dart, and everybody screaming and shouting, It maybe afterwards you might sort of come to terms with that. But in the moment, you're concentrating a lot because you're trying to sell what's just happened. You're trying to make sure everything's okay and everything's going on. So you're actually really concentrating. But of course, when those moments do come back round, they get seen on social media and whatever. Yeah, it's just an absolute pleasure. Bless you. It's so neat to before we sneeze. That's a real pro. Yeah, it was. It is. Yeah, it's just a pleasure to sort of be the voice of these moments. It's why we do the job. It's why we love the job. Why we keep coming back for more. I suppose is because you love to be part of moments like that.
Yeah. Something that I don't know if you've deliberately done it, but I remember like this year, you're the one that's taken the stand against the whistlers, and the love on social media that you've got from it as well. Was that a subconscious thing that you've done, or was it just something that, like inside of you went, for want of a better word, fuck this, I've had enough of this. I'm not having it anymore.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, so that clip in Göttingen, which I know went viral and all over the place.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't do that to go viral. That was the last thing I wanted to do. I couldn't believe actually how much that got shared. That I think it ended up on Sky Sports News and things like this. I mean, oh God, I just couldn't believe that no went viral. That was the last thing that I wanted to happen. Honestly, I was calling the moment as I saw it because I think if the control of the match is with anybody, it shouldn't be with the crowd and it shouldn't be with the players either. It should be with the referee if it resides with somebody. And that situation there with Stephen Bunting, it's the last leg he started getting whistled. He was visibly disturbed by it. And if I remember rightly, initially I let it go, just kind of hoping that it would happen the once and then that would be it. But the situation sort of, I mean, maybe I should have stamped on there and then straight away, maybe. But as the situation kind of got worse and worse and worse, the stronger I had to be in order to wrest back that control. And that's why I was as strong as what I was in that moment. So it's very difficult because the last thing you want to do is make it worse. And I think you have to like sort of try and gauge the feeling, the general feeling in your crowd as to whether you're about to make the situation worse or not. I mean, luckily in that moment, after I said what I said, 3,996 people applauded. They all agreed with me. It was a wonderful crowd in Göttingen. Maybe people think I hate the crowds. I don't. I love them because the vast, vast majority of them are absolutely brilliant. They're there for the darts. They don't agree with it anywhere near as much as what I do. We're only talking about 1 or 2 people at a time. Even in against crowds of 10,000, 12,000 this year in the Premier League, we'd be talking about 1 or 2. And it's 1 or 2 too many. Absolutely. I mean, if they were always, it'd probably be less of a distraction, because it would just be a wall of noise then. But yeah, it's something that's become very, very difficult to control. How we get rid of it, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know whether it's possible because probably the most frustrating aspect of it is that every bit of action that we take is going to be retrospective. We have to wait for somebody to whistle in order to stop it, but of course in that moment, the moment's gone. The player might have been put off. They cannot have that dart back. They cannot have that moment back. We could stop the game. We could throw them out. We could put them on a blacklist to make sure they never come back to a darts event again or whatever you like. The moment was gone. And if you want to try and find somebody whistling, you need them to whistle. So both security, referees, everybody are in a very sort of difficult place with it. I suppose the only way you could really stop it is if you could preempt it. Well, you can't preempt it, guys. You can't preempt it in front of a big crowd. And quite often, especially in like these big Premier Leagues, the whistler would be right up there in the tiers. It'd be like a needle in a haystack. By the time you get somebody up those steps and all the rest of it, and you can try and find them, well, it's nearly impossible.
No, 100%. We've got some questions from the chat room for you as well. First one is, have you got, or can you remember your favourite match you've refereed?
It's very difficult to gauge which is your favourite match. Is it the occasion, so like the World Final? Is it a match which has had a 9-dart finish in it because that moment's kind of been immortalised as well? Is it just a match with the most fantastic standard? Is it a particularly fast match for that kind of challenge? It's very difficult to gauge. I have different games for different reasons, So the Luke Littler World Final changed my life completely on a personal level. So do I say that one? Do I say when Luke had a 9-dart finish in Cardiff, which is my home venue?
Yeah.
All this sort of thing. I think Luke Littler against Michael van Gerwen in Prague. And I think the whole match is on YouTube where Luke averaged, I can't remember the average, got a head to 14 and Michael averaged 113 or something like that. Just the most incredible standard. They were 10 180s in 7 legs. I have many 180s there. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. You can find it because the whole match was uploaded there. Just the best standard you could ever wish to see. I mean, recency bias, Littler versus Aspinall and Blackpool just gone was one of the best matches I'll ever referee. That I've been going to match play for 18 years, and that's the loudest I've ever heard the venue. Not when Luke hit the 9 darter, when Nathan hit the 170 to save the match. That's the loudest I've ever heard the Winter Gardens in my 18 years of going. We started the next leg, and the stage you could feel banging underneath your feet. It was that loud in there. I've never heard it that loud before. So that's got to be one of. I don't know whether it's Steve has, but the one of.
Do you know when that happened, Huw? Me and Phil were both we were in the media room, like behind the stage, and you know who's in there. Like they've all seen everything in that. You know that like nothing surprises them. Nothing takes it like. But at that moment, that was one of the very few moments I think where that collection of people almost all uniformly sort of sat up and like genuinely felt, it wasn't like seeing a 9 darter. It was, that it was that moment that everyone in that room just sort of went, my word, this is something truly remarkable. It was very special, that.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite tournament as well? Like the players obviously love the match play and so on. Have you got a favourite tournament?
Yeah, I think the match play, because I used to go there as a kid. I had a season ticket there for 4 years, and me and my family made friends with like a lot of people who were going to the match play for years before us, and they are still going to this day. So there's people there who knew me when I was like 13, 14, who are still going now, and they see me up on stage. I actually went and had lunch with a few of them on the Friday afternoon in Blackpool. We had a nice catch-up. And so I think for that reason, Blackpool, and a similar reason, Cardiff Premier League.
Yeah, of course. Have you got a favourite Euro Tour city or venue?
Well, funny enough, Budapest is probably right up there. Munich is mad. Munich is absolutely crazy. They are so enthusiastic. It's extraordinary, and it's always on the Easter bank holiday as well. So it's a great atmosphere. That's mental. Yeah, I'll go with those two. Yeah, Budapest is just the most wonderful venue. It's just fantastic in there.
It's a very pretty city, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's a lovely place.
We've got one from Gordo. What would your song be?
My walk-on song would be "It's Raining Men," the Weather Girls version. Oh, and then yes, it would be not for any particular reason.
No, but it would be truly remarkable, I think, Huw, to see where would it work best? The Winter Gardens, I think, in Blackpool. I think that would be to see however many thousand people pack into there, giving it some to that song. I think would be quite a sight, wouldn't it?
I would like to see that too. Yeah, I just think, oh dear me. I think, wow, yeah, no, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, there's a campaign somewhere, Huw. I think maybe that so we talk a lot about walk-ons because we're very, very boring men, and we've done lots of discussions about walk-ons, and one of the things that we've talked about is often when like Blackpool, for example, what happens is the walk-ons are very similar all week, and if you see somebody get to the final, you've seen that, you've seen the same thing 3, 4, 5 times through the week. And I've always thought when you get to the final, we want something in, make it feel like a final, like make me sit up and know this is the main event now. This is the important thing. Would you be against for finals a walk-on for referees? Would you buy into that? Do you think when it's a final we need everybody to sit up and pay attention? Let's bring everybody out. Let's have the markers out. Let's have the referees. Let's make everyone feel like this is important.
Well, like the chase. It's time to miss the chaser, and maybe you can come around the corner.
That would be incredible. Yeah, keep the line up, and they could have a little light that went between you all.
Could it be Kirk Bevins, the Kirkulator? Could it be each other all that?
Yeah. Yes. This is good stuff. This is what like on this show.
I don't think we're that important somehow. We might be important to the running of the match, but I don't think we're that important somehow. Yeah, imagine that.
We've got best referee in attire, polo shirts as you are now, full suit, or lederhosen?
Well, I love wearing the lederhosen. Do you know, I tell you, there's a good little story about the first time I wore that. They asked me what size shoe I was, and I said 10. But I completely forgot that European sizes are 2 sizes smaller than the UK's. So I spent all weekend in shoes 2 sizes too small for me. Well, it was agony, guys. And I tell you what, I was luckily, as you're refereeing, you're just standing there, aren't you? But the moment I had to walk physically from one foot in front of the other, I was sort of limping off the stage. And where we had chairs, I sort of next to the side of the stage, and I was just taking them off, and I was walking around the venue in my sockies. So the next time I went, I learned my lesson on that one. I joined the year they got rid of suits. And I understand it. I mean, if we went back to suits, and I'd be wearing a waistcoat. I quite like waistcoats. I think that would be really nice. But I can understand why they got rid of them, because I wouldn't like a sort of, so hauling my suit around on planes and on trains everywhere and so on. They have prioritized comfort up there now. We're up there that often. And I can completely understand that. I prefer what we wear now as opposed to suits, if I'm honest.
No, I agree. I think it looks good now, I have to say. Huw, thank you so much for joining us. It's been 45 minutes that I have enjoyed every single second of it, my friend. And you are welcome back anytime you want to announce something. Anytime you've got some juicy things that you've got coming up, then you are more than welcome to come on, my friend. I have absolutely loved it. It's been superb.
Well, thank you very much for having me, guys. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm sorry for the echo. I'm sorry for the also technical.
I'll edit it out post show. It's fine.
We've got some very good tools. It'll be when it goes out as an audio podcast tomorrow. It'll be as clean as a whistle.
There'll be no echo at all.
Thank you very much, guys. No, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
I've loved it. Everyone, Mr. Huw Ware, thank you so much.
Do that again.